So today we're going to look at two tents, both from NEMO. We're going to look at the NEMO Wagontop and the NEMO Aurora. So these are both 4-person, 3-season tents, completely freestanding. These are great for car camping or setting up a base camp. They're on the heavy side, so you don't necessarily want to take these if you have to do a lot of hiking or backpacking. The NEMO Wagontop is known for its exceptional height. It is a very tall tent, and you can stand fully upright inside of it. However, the NEMO Wagontop is actually not, it's been technically discontinued by NEMO. They're not actively manufacturing it. That said, there's a lot of places you can find it online. It is a popular tent for a few different reasons, primarily the spaciousness, but we're also going to look at some reasons to maybe understand better why NEMO stopped making it. The Aurora is known for its also being very spacious, has great ventilation, it's easy to set up, and it's just a cool looking tent. So we're going to look at internal space, trail weight, fabric, vestibule area, holes, ventilation, internal storage, and price. So looking at internal space, the Wagontop has a lot more height and space compared to the Aurora. You get 6.8 feet of height and 8.3 by 8.3 feet of space on floor space. And compared to the Aurora, you get 6.2 feet of height and 8.3 by 7.5 feet of floor space. So you get about 6 inches more height in the Wagontop and almost a full foot more floor space. In terms of trail weight, the Wagontop is heavier than the Aurora, weighs about 16 pounds compared to the Aurora, which weighs a bit less than 14 pounds, 13 pounds, 12 ounces. And they both come with these stuff sacks, like duffel bag style, that you can pack the entire tent up, including the tent poles, to make it easy to carry. So in terms of fabric, so we're looking at the type of fabric it is and the thickness. And thickness on tents is described by a phrase called dernier, and that basically tells you the weight of the fabric that the material's weight is made from. So these are both made from polyester, and the Wagontop technically has thicker fabric than the Aurora. With the Wagontop, you get 75D polyester with a 1500 millimeter waterproofing. So that lets you know how much water can actually collect on the surface of the tent before it would start to seep in. So the higher the dernier, the thicker the fabric. So one of the nice features of the Wagontop is it comes with a really thick tent floor, 300 dernier polyester tent floor with the same waterproof rating. The Aurora comes with 68D polyester canopy, which with a no-seam mesh, so it's basically like a mesh body. It has a 150 dernier polyester floor, so that's half the thickness of the Wagontop. And then you get the 68 dernier polyester rainfly. One thing I forgot to mention on the Wagontop is it does not come with a rainfly, which is unusual. And I would think there'd be some drawbacks to not having a rainfly in terms of your overall protection, and then the ability to have better ventilation when you want it. So in terms of doors and vestibules, the Wagontop comes with one door and one vestibule. It's a large vestibule, so that's nice, while the Aurora comes with 2 doors and 2 vestibules. Now, to me, it's kind of unusual that the Wagontop was only made with 1 door, because when you have bigger tents like this and more people inside, you really want 2 doors so that it's easy to enter and exit the tent. Primarily, so you don't have to disturb other people in the tent if you need to leave or come back in. Especially like at night, if you're going to the bathroom, you don't want to have to walk over people. So it's unusual that a tent of this size just has 1 door. The Aurora is more traditional design. You get the 2 doors and you get 2 vestibules. Even though your vestibules are individually smaller, you get overall more vestibule space. You get 39 total square feet of vestibule space on the Aurora. So looking at poles, so the Aurora comes with DAC Featherlight poles, which are, even though they are not as thick as the Wagontop aluminum poles, DAC is going to be lighter and also more durable because they're made from an aluminum alloy, which is just a better material than traditional aluminum. The way the pole design works on the Wagontop is you have 2 poles with about 14.5 millimeter diameter, and these poles are hubbed together. They're clip-on, so basically they hub together and then you clip the tent fabric to the poles. One complaint I've read about the Wagontop is because it's so tall, it's hard for people who, if you're like 5'5", 5'8" feet tall, it's hard to reach the upper peak of the tent. So it's not always easy to set this up if you're not a super tall person. it was built this way to increase the height, and one thing that people really like about this tent is you can walk around inside, and that's great, but then it makes it harder to set up if you're not super tall. Also, this design makes this tent very prone to blowing over if it's windy. So I've read in several reviews that people, even in fairly mild wind of like 15 miles an hour and greater, the tent is prone to basically collapse. It gets ripped off from the stakes and it blows over. So the Aurora has 4 poles, and they have a 13 millimeter diameter. And these, with similar style, they cross over, and it's like this hub design. So you have 2 long poles that cross over and they stake down into the ground, and then you have 2 shorter poles which slip into these sleeves that extend over the doors, and this basically tightens the tent up, and it also maximizes the space. Now this design is a lot more aerodynamic and much better if you're dealing with wind. So looking at ventilation, in my opinion, you're going to get better ventilation with the Aurora, and this is because on the Wagontop you don't have a rain fly, so you can't remove the rain fly to open up your walls, and the Aurora you do. So with the Wagontop, you have a large vent in the back, and you have 2 large windows, which also serve as vents, and then you have your door, which is also mesh and can serve as a vent. That said, this is the maximum airflow that you can get through the tent, and if you have your vestibule up, you're going to have even less airflow. There's no venting at all on the top of the tent, so I think this tent has a big chance of becoming hot, humid, and building up condensation. Whereas with the Aurora, you can fully remove your rain fly, you have large doors, and you have fully meshed walls. And even if you put your rain fly on, now while you don't have top rain fly vents on the Aurora, which I really think that they should add, you can still have your windows open, and you can actually keep your door, the airflow coming through the doors, because you could partially leave the rain fly open, which is a nice way to set it up. So you're not, because I think if you fully sealed up your rain fly on the Aurora, it could also get humid inside, but they give you some options there. But ideally, they would put like a strutted vent at the top of this, and that would make it perfect. In terms of internal storage, I think these tents have comparable, internal storage. The Wagontop, you get a few more storage pockets. So on the Wagontop, you get some hanging stash pockets, and you also get some hanging bin pockets for storage, larger bin pockets. And then on the Aurora, you get the same hanging bins, but you get floor stash pockets instead of having them elevated. So if you're lying down, you could reach these pockets easier. In terms of price, the Wagontop is a lot more expensive than the Aurora. It's about $149 more. The Wagontop is $549 compared to $399 for the Aurora. So how do they compare, the Wagontop and the Aurora? With the Wagontop, if the standout feature is floor space and height, you get a lot more space and a lot more height, and you also technically have thicker fabric. I do think the thick floor fabric is a nice feature, because I'd be curious as to how this tent would perform without a footprint, because the floor fabric is so thick. But compared to the Aurora, the Aurora is lighter, the poles are stronger, it's more weather resistant, especially for wind, better ventilation, and it's cheaper. So I'd love to know what you guys think, if you've experienced one or both of these tents. Do you think the reason that the Wagontop isn't being manufactured anymore is because it just blows over in wind? It seems like that might be one of the reasons, because a lot of people do like the Wagontop, but I have to say, on 10 different places that I've read, people like this tent when it's used in perfect weather. So I've not read anybody that said, oh, I used this tent in heavy rain and wind and it was great. So I'd love to know what other people think, and please leave comments. There are also tent links in the description, so you can check them out yourself. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.